From poor popcorn girl to CEO's choice, 83 finalists, but only one shocked the world. In a world where dreams ignite like the flickering light of a faulty bulb, one girl dared to reach for the impossible. Her name was Lily, a seemingly ordinary concession girl at a rundown theater, where popcorn was stale and the curtains were faded. Little did anyone know, beneath her grease-stained apron and timid smile lay a fierce ambition. The day she found out about the prestigious CEO's Choice competition, her heartbeat quickened like a roller coaster's dizzying drop. They said 83 hopefuls were competing, each vying for recognition, but only one would stand taller than the rest. One would capture the CEO's heart and turn whispers into a roaring applause. And that one, it seemed, was destined to be her. Lily's life was anything but glamorous, growing up in a dilapidated apartment with her single mother working double shifts just to keep the lights on. The aroma of burnt microwave meals lingered in their cramped space. But Lily had a secret, a stack of notebooks filled with ideas and dreams scribbled in the dark hours of night. As she wiped down counters, her hands felt the grains of the popcorn kernels like pieces of hope, each one a glimmer of what could be. It wasn't just popcorn, the kernels were symbols, representing all the aspirations she dared to cultivate. What fascinated everyone the most wasn't Lily's lack of privilege but the strange aura that surrounded her, a magnetic pull that left people guessing. Then came the whispers. "Did you hear what happened during the audition?" they said. A well-known contestant had a meltdown, screaming about secrets being exposed. Tension thickened the air, wrapping around the contestants like a tight noose, urging them to perform even better. Rumors floated like ghosts. Tales of hidden alliances and betrayal swirled among the finalists. A reality show or a deadly game? It was hard to tell. As Lily finished her shift, she felt the weight of the world upon her shoulders, the excitement mixed with fear swelling in her chest. What did that meltdown mean for her? Did it spell doom or an opening opportunity? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Game day arrived. The auditorium buzzed like a beehive, cracking with energy. Under the harsh lights, the buzz grew heavy, pulling at Lily's senses. As she stood in line, she could hear snippets of power speech, perfect pitches congealing, each competitor aiming for the golden prize. The wooden stage marked the threshold between her old self and her rebirth. The crowd's murmurs swirled like a tornado, building anticipation for a reveal, an explosion of talent yet to be witnessed. Her palms felt sweaty, her heart raced in concert with the audience's collective breaths held tight. Each moment stretched out, and just as she stepped up to the microphone, a sharp gasp echoed from the front row. What could it mean? Did she notice the CEO's appraising gaze fixated on her, or was it simply a trick of her mounting nerves? The question burned in her mind. Was she ready to shock the world? Lily caught her breath as she stepped closer to the microphone, the tension in the air crackling like static electricity. The sharp gasp that had rippled through the front row suddenly amplified her anxiety. She glanced out at the sea of faces, some were familiar, mere blurs in the emotional chaos making her heart pounded like a drum. What could have caused that shock? Seconds felt like hours as she scanned the crowd, her eyes landing on the CEO, his expression unreadable, sharp features set in a mask of curiosity. And then it hit her. She had no idea what secrets swirled around the competition, what alliances had formed, or what threat loomed just behind the curtain. Whispers of betrayal and hidden agendas felt like shadows lurking in the corners, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce. Lily cleared her throat, taste of unsweetened fear lingering like a bitter aftertaste. With every step toward her moment, doubt clawed at her insides. She practiced her pitch in front of the mirror, imagining applause and adoration from the crowd, but this now felt like stepping onto a battlefield. The stakes were too high. "Hello. I'm Lily," she said, her voice betraying her as it quivered, tension tightening her chest. But she pressed on, releasing a shaky breath. I'm here to share my vision. As her trembling voice battled the echoing silence, a faint murmur crept through the audience. She glanced down at her notes, ready to invoke the passion that fueled her ambitions, but the feeling of dread slithered back in. What if it wasn't just nerves? What if the competition, those dazzling, ambitious contestants were ready to claw at every weakness she possessed? Just as she began to gather her courage, the lights flickered ominously. Gasps echoed again, pulsating through the crowd. Uncertainty rippled from person to person, sparking whispers speaking of curses and bad omens. Her stomach churned. Did this mean something terrible was about to happen? Focus, Lily, focus, she whispered to herself under her breath. Her heart thundered as she summoned her strength and pushed through the pitch, pouring her hopes and dreams into the articulation of her presentation. The words spilled from her lips with far more passion than she felt. Every sentiment was a shot in the dark, a plea to be heard as she envisioned her dreams bursting into flames, illuminating the darkness of her past. But just as the final words left her mouth, a shadow swept across the stage. An unexpected rumble echoed from behind, causing a chain reaction of gasps from the audience. Barriers that had once felt insurmountable now seemed to fracture. It felt like the whole auditorium was holding its breath, waiting, watching, and whispering doubts behind her back. Then, amid the whispers of confusion, Lily noticed something: a figure slipping past the front row. It was an unmistakable face, Emma, one of the top contenders who had unfurled a strategy focused on allure and elegance. But her demeanor was off, a frenzied expression as she tugged a hood around her face, evading notice. What was happening? Why did she seem so desperate? The light momentarily dimmed as the stage lights flickered again, casting an eerie shadow on Lily's podium, amplifying a sense of unknown terror. What was brewing just beyond her vision? Was Emma's frantic behavior part of a larger game? Lily's heart raced, a storm building inside her, while she wondered what secrets the dark cloaked. And just as she steeled herself for whatever chaos awaited, the microphone crackled and the CEO stood, expressive and imposing, an unexpected power drawing every gaze. Lily, he said, eyes narrowing as if he could see through her soul, there's something you need to know. What could it be? As Lily felt the floor beneath her tremble, everything she had worked for felt teetering on a precipice. Would revelations come crashing down like falling debris, or would triumph finally capture her and pull her higher? She stood frozen, dread wrapping around her like a heavy fog. The journey had just begun, but the end had never felt so near. The auditorium pulsed with unresolved tension, ready for the next reveal. What shocking truths awaited? The audience inhaled in concert, a wave of anticipation rippling through them as the CEO stilled the air. It was a moment heavy with the weight of secrets. Lily's skin prickled at the intensity of his gaze, sharp, penetrating, as if he was going to unveil not just the truth about her, but about her competitors, too. Lily, you are not the only one with a vision tonight. In fact, his voice dropped, creating a hush that felt like a dark curtain falling. There's something you need to know about Emma and what she's been hiding. Her stomach plummeted. Emma? The stunning frontrunner whose infectious confidence had always overshadowed Lily's quiet determination. What did she have to do with this moment? The murmurs swelled again, a cacophony of speculation bouncing like hard rubber balls off the walls of the auditorium. Lily swallowed, her throat tightening. She'd never expected to find herself entangled in power plays and backroom secrets. The thought made her jittery. What had Emma done to warrant attention like this? The CEO continued, unfazed by the rising tension. 2 days ago at the pre-selection meeting, Emma received a tip-off. Someone reached out, revealing the winner's name before the final pitch. This makes everything that's happening tonight a farce. The words hit like a bullet. Gasps and sharp intakes of breath echoed through the gathering, confusion and anger radiating from every corner of the room. Lily's heart raced again, but it was now tangled with a spark of fury. Was she really standing in front of a crowded auditorium, and anointed to expose deception? And we found evidence, hidden communications. He paused, letting the weight of his statement settle in the minds of everyone present. We will investigate and take appropriate action. But I must warn you, all is not what it seems behind the curtain. A low murmur tumbled through the audience like a cascading flood. Conversations ignited everywhere, eyes darting back and forth, uncertain who might be allies or enemies. Lily felt her pulse thrum in her ears, adrenaline pushing her forward. The murmurings faded, and her focus zeroed in as the CEO locked his gaze on her again. Lily, are you prepared for the consequences of this revelation? Because the truth comes at a steep price, and I want to let you back down. Her mouth went dry. Did he see a flicker of strength in her? Or did he merely see someone who couldn't stand the heat? But the glimmers of justice danced in her mind. This wasn't just about her. It was bigger. If Emma was cheating, it felt like a betrayal of the very resilience she cherished. I need to confront her, Lily finally replied, her voice gaining strength. She took a deep breath, ready to face the chaos that came with the truth. Fear, exhilaration, and rage whirled inside her, blurring the lines of who she was and who she meant to be. The CEO raised an eyebrow, the corners of his lips twisting into what resembled a smirk. Then proceed. But remember this, betrayal has a way of turning allies into enemies. Choose wisely. With those words hanging heavily in the air, Lily turned toward the crowd once more. She was leaving a safe harbor behind and setting sail into dangerous waters, where nothing was certain and trust could shatter at a moment's notice. Suddenly, the ground beneath her felt unsteady, like the entire world had tilted. Doubts loomed like storm clouds. Would she be brave enough to unravel the truth, or would secrets tear her apart? Before she could gather her thoughts, she spotted Emma shifting at the back. The frantic glint in her eye was unmistakable, and a quick thought sparked within her. Maybe Emma had been watching the whole time, always just out of reach. And what about the clues behind the dark curtain? Alice once plunged into a world like this, and her curiosity had led her. Was this Lily's version of that moment? Would the shockwaves ripple out further, expanding into chaos? Was she about to step into a confrontation that could redefine everything she believed in? The answer lay just out of sight, waiting for her to seize it. Lily's heart raced again. She was ready. But would she regain control, or would her determination cascade into disaster? Only time would tell. Lily's heart drummed and her breath quickened as she moved through the dark sea of faces. Each step felt like it dragged through thick mud, doubts gnawing at her resolve. Emma stood alone, her eyes flickering with a mix of defiance and dread. The air between them buzzed with unspoken words. Lily reached her rival, the crowd's murmurs fading into a heavy silence. "We need to talk," she said, her voice firmer than she felt. Emma blinked, her expression shifting rapidly. "Why? So you can ambush me like everyone else?" A flash of anger shot through Lily. "This is bigger than you," she hissed, her pulse racing. "The CEO just exposed your cheating. You can't pretend this isn't happening. We need to figure this out together." At that, Emma leaned in closer. "Together? You really think I'd team up with you after all this?" Her laughter was cold, an edge of bitterness cutting through her facade. She glanced around, ensuring no one else was eavesdropping. "You think you're the only one who's ready to expose the truth? Be careful, Lily. You might not like what you find." Lily's eyes narrowed, her mind racing. The room pulsed with tension, each pair of eyes dissecting their confrontation. Was Emma bluffing? Or did she know something Lily didn't? The CEO's warning swam in her mind. Allies could quickly become enemies. And what if Emma was telling the truth? What if there was more beneath the surface? "Stop playing games," Lily said, channeling her frustration into resolve. "If we're going to deal with this, we need to be honest with each other." For a moment, Emma's bravado faltered. It was brief, like a shadow passing over her face. But then her eyes returned to their sharpness, and she shrugged. "Fine, go ahead. What do you want from me? You think sharing some secrets will help? This isn't a friendly chat." Lily could sense the fragile line of trust stretching taut. "I want the truth. I need to know who's behind this. If you didn't act alone, who else is involved?" Emma hesitated, the tension coiling tighter. Just then, an unanticipated voice sliced through the silence. "You don't want to play this game, ladies. It was the CEO, stepping closer, an inscrutable expression on his face. History tells us that secrets have a tendency to turn lethal. Lily flinched at his intrusion, feeling exposed and vulnerable. "You've stirred the pot, haven't you?" She shot back, frustration bubbling to the surface. "What's your angle?" A grin ghosted across his lips. "I'm just a facilitator. But remember, the stakes are high, and the truth can be dangerous. In the game of power, everyone's a player. Some just don't know it yet." He turned and strode back to his podium, leaving a trail of apprehension in his wake. Lily's head spun. Could she trust anyone here? This felt like a twisted chess game, with somebody pulling strings from the shadows. "I need a drink," Emma muttered, breaking the spell. Without waiting for a response, she pushed through the crowd, leaving Lily reeling. Was Emma truly unmasked? Or was this just another layer to a tangled web of lies? As whispers and speculations rippled around her, Lily felt her heart drop into her stomach. Emma may be a rival, but do they share a common enemy? Taking a steadying breath, Lily scanned the faces in the crowd, some curious, others judgmental. She couldn't shake the feeling of eyes trained on her every move. What if the people around her were connected in ways they didn't know yet? What if she was walking into a trap unbeknownst to her, right under the CEO's watchful gaze? The stakes were higher than ever, and she had to get to the bottom of this. With newfound determination, Lily stepped forward. Was she ready to unearth the truth, knowing it might change everything? With each heartbeat pounding in her chest, she whispered to herself, "This isn't over." As she turned, new voices rose above the others' frantic conversations, colliding in a wave of urgency. What new secrets awaited her in this web of lies? The night was still young, but the darkness was deepening. Lily tightened her grip on the edge of a nearby table, her knuckles widening under the pressure. The murmurs of the crowd grew louder, tension thickening the air, making it hard to breathe. The walls felt like they were closing in, a boiling cauldron of distrust and conspiracies swirling around her. She spotted Emma by the bar, her silhouette framed by the dim light, pouring herself a drink that glimmered ominously with ice-cold clarity. It was strange, Lily thought, how a rivalry could suddenly morph into this tangled mess of secrets. They were supposed to be opponents, but now they were both stumbling through a minefield. "Be careful," she whispered to herself, the words barely forming in her throat. Lily needed to act. Gathering her courage, she stepped further into the crowd, wanting to hear what others were saying. Conversations dripped in speculation, peppered with furtive glances. Each whisper felt like a dagger aimed at her heart. What if the truth was uglier than she imagined? What if the very ground she stood on was riddled with treachery? She caught snippets of dialogue, one woman shaking her head in disbelief, a man asserting a theory about the CEO's plans. The pieces of the puzzle were scattered, and Lily desperately needed to see the bigger picture. Sharp voices faded in and out, punctuated by an occasional laugh that felt wrong in such a heavy atmosphere. She turned, catching a glimpse of the CEO laughing with a small group, his charm unwavering. But there was an edge to his smile that made the hair on the back of Lily's neck stand up. As if he thrived on the chaos that enveloped them. An unexpected hand grabbed her arm, no gentle touch, just a firm grip that made her spin around. It was Emma, her green eyes blazing with determination. "We need to find out who's really behind this," she said, urgency leaking through her carefully composed facade. "And I think I know where to start." Lily's heart raced. "Where?" she asked, her previous anger forgotten, replaced by a primal instinct to survive. Emma glanced around, ensuring their conversation was private. "There's a back door where the staff crosses through to the supply area." "I overheard something, a name." "Whose name?" "Someone connected to the CEO and to us. Let's just say, they weren't surprised by today's news." It felt like a setup. Lily shook her head, an icy chill creeping up her spine. "We can't just walk through there. What if it's a trap?" Emma's grip tightened. "We can't stand here and do nothing. If we don't take this chance, we're already lost. It's time to stop being pawns and become players." In that moment, the gravity of their situation hit her. They were standing at the precipice of a dark abyss, but perhaps, just perhaps, it was their only chance. Okay, Lily replied, swallowing her fear. Let us do this. As they slipped through the crowd, they drew closer to the exit. The air hummed with suspense, the whispers fading behind them like a forgotten echo. Every step felt charged, each heartbeat a countdown. But the moment they reached the door, a sudden commotion erupted from behind. Lily turned just in time to see someone sprinting through the crowd, eyes wide with panic. Stop them. A voice rang out, slicing through the air like a knife. Lily froze. She caught a glimpse of something in the figure's hand, a flash of something metallic. And then, everything erupted into chaos. Lily! Move! Emma screamed, pulling her back as the crowd surged, cries of confusion rising like a tide. What was happening? Who was that running? As the room erupted into disarray, one thought overwhelmed Lily's mind. The truth was closer than ever, but now it might cost them everything. With her heart pounding loudly in her ears, she wondered if she was brave enough to face whatever horrors lay ahead. What was waiting for them just beyond the door? In the storm of voices, one question reverberated louder than the others. Who could they trust when the very ground they walked on was shifting beneath them? Lily's heart raced as screams and shouts erupted around her. The figure bolted past, weaving through terrified onlookers. The metallic object gleamed ominously in their grasp, reflecting the dim lights of the room. Emma, we need to get out of here. She shouted, panic surging like a tidal wave. Emma's grip tightened around her wrist, anchoring her in the moment. We can't leave yet. That person knows something. The crowd was a whirlpool of chaos, twisting and turning with fear. Bodies jostled against each other, the air charged with electricity as tension mounted. Lily's chest felt tight, the room spun with every fleeting breath, each exhale a reminder of the danger they were in. Suddenly, the crowd parted like the Red Sea as two security officers surged forward, their shiny badges glinting like shields. Don't let them escape. One officer yelled, determination etched on his face. What do we do, Emma? Lily could barely make herself heard over the cacophony. We follow. Emma urged, eyes ablaze with both fear and resolve. She pushed through the throng, dragging Lily along. They dodged people scrambling to find safety, navigating the chaos toward the back door Emma had mentioned. As they advanced, Lily's gaze flicked to the front of the room. The CEO had turned serious, his earlier laughter freezing into a tight-lipped frown. It was as if he could feel the ground shifting beneath him too. Stop! A voice boomed, and Lily's breath caught. They had gotten close enough to the exit to see the fleeing figure slam through a door, the metallic object now running away. But the security team was close behind, urgency trailing in their wake. Now or never. Emma yelled, urging them forward. Lily's heart raced. What if this was a trap? The thought nearly made her falter, but Emma's grip was firm, pulling her onward. They pushed through the back door, an unfamiliar hallway stretching before them like a dark tunnel. Cold concrete met her bare feet as they emerged, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, illuminating the path. It was eerily quiet compared to the chaos just moments before. Do you see them? Emma whispered, breathing heavily, her eyes darting down the corridor. Not yet, Lily replied, straining to listen. Every echo felt amplified in this empty space. She could hear her own heartbeat, pounding like a drum, mixing with the echo of their footsteps. Maybe we should split up. Emma suggested, glancing down one side of the hall. No. The word burst from Lily's lips, panic softening her voice. What if they get you? Emma hesitated, the flicker of fear crossing her face. Then we stay together. A faint noise, like muffled shouts, echoed from further down the corridor. They exchanged glances, urgency freezing their resolve. That way, Lily pointed, her instincts tingling with every step they took. They hustled forward, rushing into the darkness where the noise grew clearer, angry voices, shouts, chaos waiting to unfold just ahead. Each stride felt like a step deeper into the unknown. What if they're waiting? Emma whispered, dread creeping into her tone. Then we need to stay alert, Lily asserted, forcing herself to focus as shadows loomed closer. Every flicker of movement sparked adrenaline through her veins, her senses heightened. As they rounded the corner, they skidded to a halt. Before them stood the figure they had chased. Shadows cast over their face made it hard to see their expressions, but the grip on the metallic object was unmistakable. "Who are you?" Emma demanded, her voice shaking but strong. For a second there was silence, thick and suffocating. Then the figure stepped forward, hands raised as if to protect themselves. "You don't understand. I didn't want this." Lily's heart dropped. This wasn't just a chase, it was the moment everything hinged on. "What didn't you want?" she pressed, her entire body tensing. A crackling sound filled the air, drowning out their words. The figure turned to look down the other hallway, lines of worry etched deeply. "You need to leave now. They're coming." Before Lily could respond, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into darkness. Suddenly, the metallic object glinted again in the dimness, and Lily's heart sank further. She realized that whatever was about to happen, everything was slipping away faster than she could grasp. "Get down!" Emma shrieked, but it was too late. The loud, piercing sound of a gunshot rang out, followed by crashing feet storming in. Lily gasped. What had they stumbled into? As the alarm blared and chaos erupted once more, one question clawed at her mind: how could they possibly escape this alive? The shot echoed through the hallway, a brutal reminder of the reality they were in. Adrenaline coursed through Lily's veins, her instincts screaming at her to run. But where to? Fear gripped her throat, constricting her voice. "Emma!" she breathed, just above a whisper, eyes darting around them. The darkened corridor seemed to close in, shadows flickering like ghosts. "We have to move," Emma urged, her voice laced with urgency as she yanked Lily by the arm, pulling her into the relative safety of the nearest doorway. They stumbled into a small, neglected storage room, the scent of dust and stale air enveloping them. Boxes stacked haphazardly loomed like sentinels in shadow. There was a faint light peeping through a cracked window, but it barely illuminated the maze of clutter. Emma leaned against the door, chest heaving, trying to catch her breath. "What just happened?" she panted, her eyes wide with fear. Lily could only shake her head, her mind racing to piece together the chaos. "I don't know, but that figure, what were they talking about? And why were they so afraid?" Hollow emptiness settled deep in her stomach as she remembered the metallic object. "Something's happening." Emma gripped Lily's shoulders tightly, panic growing in her eyes. "We can't just sit here. We need to find out what is going on." Before Lily could respond, another gunshot rang out, followed by the sound of hurried feet outside the door. They glanced at each other, the shared dread palpable, then both pressed their ears against the cool, hard surface of the door. "Miller. Did you see where they went?" A voice, authoritative and clipped, demanded urgently. "No. I lost sight of them after the first shot," came a frantic reply. The officers were right outside, the tension thick in the air like a coiled spring ready to snap. "Damn it. Split up and search the perimeter." The order hung heavy, instilling fear as it rattled against their eardrums. "Emma, I know." Emma's cheeks flushed, and she stepped back from the door, excitement flickering behind her anxious gaze. "We need a plan." "Like what?" "We can't just walk out there with them searching for us." Emma's mind raced. "What if we sneak out the window? We can get onto the roof and find another way down." Lily hesitated, eyes darting to the dust-coated window. It seemed impossible, but staying here felt worse. "Okay, but we have to be quick." Their hands worked quietly, the window creaking slightly as Emma lifted it, forcing it open. The view was dizzying, the ledge narrow. "On three," Emma said grimly, gauging the distance between the window and the ledge. 1, 2, 3. They scrambled up, the gritty surface biting into their palms as they inched onto the ledge. Balancing was tricky, the two girls clinging to each other for support. Skittering footsteps echoed closer. They went this way. Go. Go. Emma urged, terror in her voice. They hurried along the roof ledge, each heartbeat a drumbeat of stress as they searched for a door or escape. But the moment they reached the roof's edge, their breath caught. Below them lay a dark alley, a wall of brick, no windows, and no sounds from the bustling crowd. They won't search here, Lily whispered hoarsely. But what now? Emma bit her lip, glancing back the way they came. We can jump or we can search for another way down. But the gleam in her eyes said something more. It was the thrill of the chase, the unknown, drawing her forward. We have to make a choice, Lily murmured, her heart pounding in trepidation, the air thick with uncertainty. A loud crash echoed behind them, the emergency lights flashing erratically. The officers were closing in. Now! Emma yelled. Then, with one final breath, they leaped into the unknown. As they fell, the ground rushing toward them, Lily's heart hammered with the fear of what awaited below. Would they be caught? Or was this their chance to escape, or was it a step into something far more dangerous? They hit the ground hard, the breath knocked from Lily's lungs as she rolled and tumbled, landing in a heap on the damp asphalt of the alley. Pain shot through her shoulder, but she barely noticed. Emma landed nearby, scrambling to her feet in a flurry of panic. Get up, get up. Emma hissed, eyes wide, scanning for any sign of pursuit. The eerie quiet of the alley wrapped around them like a shroud, making every second feel like an eternity. Lily pushed herself up, her heart racing. Which way? Emma pointed, her finger trembling. That way. Towards those dumpsters, maybe we can hide. They dove behind a row of grimy metal containers. The alley reeked of rot, intensifying the dread hanging in the air. They held their breath, ears straining for any sign of life. The sounds of distant shouting echoed, but they couldn't tell which direction it came from. Lily's mind raced. Her body trembled, not only from the fear but the weight of what they'd just leaped into. Had they escaped one danger only to find another? Do you think they saw us? Emma shook her head, but uncertainty flickered in her eyes. I don't know. But that gunshot, something is really wrong. A loud thud resonated from nearby. Both girls flinched, shooting glances at each other. My phone. Emma whispered harshly, reaching into her pocket. I think I left it in the storage room. Forget the phone. We need to focus on Lily. If they're looking for us, we need to warn someone. I can't let this go. Emma was about to pull away, but Lily grabbed her arm, wild-eyed. But we don't know who we can trust. These people could be involved. Before they could argue further, the crunch of footsteps approached. A shadow fell over the dumpster, sending a wave of terror crashing over them. Stay quiet, Emma mouthed, pressing closer to the cold metal. They could see the black boots edging closer, then a figure emerged, a flashlight illuminating the ground. Lily's breath caught as the light swept dangerously close to their hiding spot. Where are they? A voice growled, impatient and brimming with authority. Check the alley, it's south, the last place they could be gone. Understood, officer. Lily's heart pounded. They had to do something. Emma, I can't just sit here. She whispered fiercely. Wait. Emma barked, her eyes suddenly alive with a reckless idea. We could try to make a break for it once they move past us. Are you insane? Lily gasped, voice trembling with fear. That's crazy. Are you okay with just hiding here until they find us? We have to at least try. Trust me. Lily glanced past the dumpster, the officer still scanning the area. The weight of their situation bore down on her. Okay, on three, she agreed, her heart racing as she prepared for a dash into the unknown. 12 go. They surged out from behind the dumpster, sprinting toward the mouth of the alley. Relief washed over them until a yell shattered the air. Hey! Stop! They didn't look back. Every pang of fear fueled their legs, each step becoming a desperate flight from the looming chaos. They burst into the street, the world tumbling before them. Lily's mind whirled. Where do we go now? Head for the crowd, Emma shouted as they veered onto a busier street, the clamor of voices and vehicles a strangely comforting backdrop. But as they merged with the throng of unsuspecting people, that sense of safety felt fragile. What if the officers found them? What if they were being watched? Tension wrapped tightly around Lily's chest. She looked at Emma, disbelief and fear mingling in her gaze. We need a plan, Lily said breathlessly. Right, Emma agreed, her mind visibly racing. We need somewhere to lay low, maybe find someone who knows more about what's happening. But as they pressed through the crowd, a chilling realization struck Lily. Could she even trust Emma? Emma, she started, hesitation creeping into her voice. But before she could finish, someone bumped hard into Lily, sending her sprawling forward. The world around her spun as everything went black. Was it all a mistake? How deep did this conspiracy go? And who could they possibly trust anymore? When Lily came to, the harsh clamoring of voices filled her ears. Blinking rapidly, she felt a rough texture beneath her fingers, the ground vibrating with every footfall nearby. Instinctively, she pushed herself up, her heart racing again as she scanned her surroundings. She was in a bustling street market, people streaming past in an unending tide. Colorful stalls flashed their wares: produce, clothes, and trinkets, but all Lily saw was a blur. Her focus was on finding Emma, and the knot of panic in her chest tightened. Emma? She croaked, struggling to rise. A strong hand grasped her arm, pulling her upright. Lily. There you are. Emma's voice was a hurried whisper. Relief flooded over Lily, and she stumbled toward her friend, brushing off the dirt clinging to her clothes. What happened? Emma asked, hurriedly checking for any signs of pursuit. I don't know. Someone knocked into me. Lily's voice trailed off as she scanned the crowd, every stranger a suspect in a fast-evolving nightmare. We need to find somewhere to hide, somewhere to think. Emma looked around, her brow furrowing with worry. They slipped past a cluster of vendors, keeping low and moving quickly, as the crowded market offered many places to duck out of sight. Then, without warning, Emma froze, her eyes wide with dread. Over there. She pointed toward a decrepit building on the edge of the market, its windows mostly shattered. That place looks empty. We can hide there. Lily felt a shiver down her spine. You mean the old warehouse? What if it's worse inside? There's no time to argue. Emma pushed forward, leaving Lily with no choice but to follow. As they crossed the uneven pavement, panic surged. What if the officers, or worse, whoever they had escaped, caught up with them? Sinking into the shadows of the warehouse, they found themselves in a dusty corridor. Clutter and debris lined the ground. A dense silence enveloped them, punctuated only by the sound of their breathing. Both girls pressed their backs against a wall, desperate for safety. What now? Lily whispered, her heart still racing. Emma tugged at her hair, a sign of her mounting frustration. We need to think strategically. This is all connected somehow. That gunshot, it wasn't just random. They're looking for something or someone. What if they're looking for us? Lily blurted, unable to shake the icy grip of fear. The warehouse felt more like a trap than a refuge. Suddenly, Emma's expression hardened. We can't hide forever. We need to figure out who's behind this. A noise echoed from deeper inside the warehouse, causing both girls to jump. A soft murmur followed by a harsh laugh drifted through the dust-laden air. Who's there? Emma called, trying to sound braver than she felt. Just a couple of girls playing hide and seek. The voice replied mockingly, followed by footsteps, deliberate and slow. Lily's stomach dropped. They were found. Quick. We need to go. Now. She hissed, but Emma held her ground, scanning the darkness ahead. Wait! Emma's eyes darted, and she suddenly stepped back. This might be our chance to overhear something. With a sharp intake of breath, Lily resisted the urge to bolt. They were inches from danger, and every instinct told her to run, but uncertainty gripped her. What if this was their only chance to learn the truth? in that split second, the door creaked wider, and the shadow of a man loomed just beyond the threshold. The dim light caught something glinting in his hand. A weapon? Trust me, Lily. We need to hear them out, Emma whispered urgently, her voice shaking, but could she trust Emma, or anyone anymore? As the figure moved closer, tension hung heavy in the air, thick enough to slice through. The two girls stood silently, breaths held, hoping they had not made a fatal mistake as they leaned into the darkness, straining to listen. Was it too late to turn back? Would they uncover the truth or walk right into the jaws of danger? The room was heavy with unspoken words, the air charged with a blend of fear and trepidation. Lily and Emma crouched in the shadows, hearts racing like they were about to leap out of their chests. Who was this figure? What did they really want? The dim light accentuated the contours of a man, revealing a chiseled jaw and an air of authority that sent chills down Lily's spine. Did you get it? He asked in a low voice, glancing around as if assessing the room for threats. No one must find out. Not yet. Lily held her breath, eyes wide. What is he talking about? She whispered to Emma, fear quivering in her voice. Emma stared back, wide-eyed, caught in the grip of the tumult. A dull thud echoed in the distance, a reminder of the chaos outside. I told you this whole thing was a trap. They're not just playing with our heads, it's much bigger than that. The man's tone was sharp, laced with urgency. We have to act quickly if we want to salvage this. Lily's stomach turned. There was something sinister hiding in those words. She and Emma shared a nervous glance, both willing their feet to stay planted in place as the man turned his back on them. The moment was ripe with peril, but it also sparked a flicker of courage in Lily's chest. They had to know what was happening. They needed a plan. Suddenly, Emma took a tentative step forward, her courage bolstered by a reckless adrenaline rush. What is going on? Who are you? She called out, pulling the attention of the man that he whirled around, eyes blazing. You shouldn't be here. His gaze swept harshly over them. Get out while you can. This is ground zero for the fallout. Lily pressed her back against the wall, her voice trembling. What fallout? What did you mean about a trap? We've been set up. Manipulated from the very start, he said, his frustration edging toward panic. The CEO is using every one of you like pawns. All of you are just pieces in a twisted game. Panic clawed at Lily's chest. The truth felt slippery, like trying to hold on to water. What game? Her voice was barely a whisper, the raw fear palpable. But he hardly seemed to hear her. They can't know what was taken from here. If they do, it could ruin everything we're fighting for. What is fighting for? Emma demanded, growing bolder, arrogance sharpening her tone. Control, he hissed. Power moves through fear and smoke, keep them spinning and no one sees it coming. A secret can destroy anyone if you wield it right. But I want to let them win. Lily's pulse quickened. This couldn't be true. Was the CEO really behind everything? So, what are you going to do? Expose the truth, he replied simply, confidence fluctuating with uncertainty. But first, I need you to trust me. Lily glanced at Emma, torn. Who was this man, and could they really trust him? They stumbled into a whirlwind, and she felt it was becoming impossible to navigate. Emma shifted, frowning. And how do we know you're not part of this too? His eyes narrowed, the weight of the world shifting onto his shoulders. Because this setup put your lives at risk. Someone is watching even now. Lily's heart sank. Could they afford to step into a fight much larger than themselves? A part of her rebelled against the doubt pulling her down. Okay, she said softly but with resolution, brushing her hair back behind her ears. We'll help you. With a clipped nod, he gestured them forward, leading the way as the low murmur of conspiracy began to weave tighter around them. Outside, chaos still enveloped the market. The streets pulsated with fear-laden energy as murmurs of confusion zapped through the air. As they slipped out of the warehouse, the beat of the world hit them with full force. Where do we start? Lily shouted above the noise, adrenaline pushing her forward. The man pointed toward a hastily abandoned van parked several feet away. In there. We'll have more time to plan. Lily swallowed her nerves as they hurried. With every step, the cacophony of the market felt like a throbbing pulse, fueling her determination. Their choice was made. They would confront the CEO and expose everything that danced in the shadows. Inside the van, the atmosphere shifted from despair to intention. You have to keep your cool, he instructed, his demeanor suddenly serious. We'll gather the evidence. I need you both to play your part. What part? Emma asked, her tone cautious. Lily felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders like armor. We'll be the voice of the truth. The CEO needs to see we won. Back down. As they shared purposeful glances, resolve cemented in their hearts. They were on the collision course of fate and were ready to embrace whatever darkness lay ahead. Stepping back out into the tumult, Lily inhaled deeply. We're doing this together. Whatever it takes. The bustling crowds loomed before them, but Lily no longer felt small. She would no longer be the scared concession girl. She was ready to fight, to reclaim her narrative, and pave the way for others silenced by betrayal. Together as unlikely companions, they charged forth into the unknown, armed with truth against the storm. They would not just survive this, they were prepared to shock the world. Be the spark for change. Support the story, spread the word. You need to subscribe now to catch more amazing tales that pack a punch. Don't lose out, smash that like button now to show your support and feed the algorithm. And flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Lily's journey. Ask yourself, what would you do in her place? Your input truly matters. Share this video immediately with at least 5 friends who need to stay in the loop with all our exhilarating conclusions. Don't wait even one more second. Make a difference now.